One serene morning, the disciples and eager listeners gathered in anticipation of Buddha's discourse. They eagerly awaited his arrival, curious to absorb his profound teachings and wisdom. To their surprise, when Buddha finally appeared, he carried something in his hand, a simple rope. The disciples exchanged puzzled glances, wondering what lesson their revered master had in store for them. Buddha gracefully took his seat, his eyes filled with a deep sense of tranquility. Without uttering a word, he began to tie knots in the rope, one after another. The disciples watched, their curiosity piqued, as the rope transformed into a series of intricate knots. After tying the knots, Buddha broke the silence, posing a question to his attentive audience. "I have tied 3 knots in this rope," he said. "Now I want to know from all of you, is this the same rope as before, or has it changed?" Engrossed in deep contemplation, one of the disciples ventured to answer. "Master," he began, "this is a complex question, for the answer lies in our perception. From one perspective, the rope remains the same. It has not undergone any intrinsic alteration. However, when we examine it from another angle, we see the addition of the knots, which signifies a change. Yet, it is crucial to recognize that despite the external transformation, the fundamental essence of the rope remains unaltered." A gentle smile graced Buddha's countenance as he acknowledged the disciples' response. "Indeed," he affirmed, "your observation holds truth. Now," Buddha continued, "I shall proceed to untie these knots." With a serene sense of purpose, he grasped the 2 ends of the rope and began to pull them apart. As he did so, he posed a question to his disciples, encouraging them to contemplate further. "Tell me," he inquired, "can we untie these knots by pulling the ends of the rope apart?" The disciples, now engrossed in the thoughtful discourse, exchanged glances once again. After a moment of reflection, one disciple ventured to answer, "No, revered master, pulling the ends of the rope apart will only tighten the knots further, making it even more challenging to untie them." A gentle nod of approval emanated from Buddha as he acknowledged the disciples' insightful response. "Precisely," he affirmed, "you have grasped the essence of the lesson." With a serene aura enveloping him, Buddha proceeded to impart the final question upon his disciples. "Now please tell me," he requested, "what must we do to untie these knots?" The disciples, now fully engaged in the profound wisdom being shared, pondered the question in earnest. After a moment, one of them spoke up confidently. "To untie these knots," the disciple began, "we must closely observe them, understanding the manner in which they were tied. By doing so, we can then proceed to untangle them, step by step." A profound sense of satisfaction emanated from Buddha as he acknowledged the disciples' response. "Excellent," he commended. "You have grasped the essence of the lesson I sought to impart. Reflect upon this," Buddha continued, his voice resonating with wisdom. "In life, people often seek solutions without fully understanding the root cause of their problems. They ask how to put an end to anger without pausing to contemplate why they become angry in the first place. They yearn to rid themselves of ego without understanding the origin of their ego. Just as the rope retains its fundamental form despite the knots, the seeds of goodness within a human being do not perish due to momentary disorder. Just as we can untie the knots of a rope, we can also unravel the problems that plague us. However, to do so, we must first delve into the depths of our understanding, comprehending the causes that led to the entanglement. By gaining insight into the core of our challenges, the solutions will naturally unfold before us. The disciples absorbed Buddha's teachings with rapt attention, their minds expanding with newfound clarity. They realized that life, by its very nature, encompassed both difficulties and resolutions. Instead of shying away from challenges, they learned to embrace them as opportunities for growth and transformation. They internalized the importance of introspection, recognizing that by delving deep into their own hearts and minds, they could untangle the knots that hindered their progress. Throughout the ages, this profound lesson from Buddha has resonated with those seeking enlightenment and understanding. It serves as a gentle reminder to look beyond the surface of our problems and explore the underlying causes. By embracing mindfulness and introspection, we gain the ability to untie the knots that bind us, paving the way for personal growth, healing, and a greater understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Let us remember then to approach our challenges with a curious and open mind, seeking to understand their origins. By doing so, we unlock the wisdom and strength within ourselves to overcome any obstacle that comes our way. Just as Buddha's simple rope and its knots became a profound teaching, may we find inspiration in our own lives to unravel the complexities that hinder our progress.